a site designated as a scenic site in 2020. The affected building, Songseokjeong, was built in the 1950s. The fire department issued a level 1 response and began dismantling the roof to fully extinguish the flames with permission from the Cultural Heritage Administration. The pillars were badly burnt, but no injuries have been reported. The National Assembly Special Committee on Budget and Accounts faced disruption today as its review of the second supplementary budget stalled due to a scheduling dispute. The People Power Party, PPP, objected to the Democratic Party, DP, setting the review timeline without prior agreement, demanding 2 days for policy questioning instead of 1. The DP argued most ministers were absent, making extended questioning ineffective. PPP lawmakers walked out in protest and the session continued without them. The PPP later held a press conference criticizing the process as rushed and one-sided. The National Judges Representative Council met online today to address controversy over the Supreme Court's ruling in President Lee Jae-myung's election law case. Despite 5 motions being proposed, including concerns about judicial independence and public trust, none passed. Of 90 judges present, most opposed issuing a statement. The meeting followed weeks of debate with judges split between restoring credibility and avoiding political interference after the court's May 1st ruling. In local news, with the first heat wave warning of the year issued in Busan this morning, the city has announced it will urgently inject 100 million Korean won from its disaster relief fund to help protect vulnerable groups during this summer's extreme heat. The support targets the homeless, elderly living alone, and people with disabilities, those most at risk of heat-related illness. The funds will be donated to the Busan Community Chest of Korea and used to provide ice water, fans, and cooling support at shelters and care centers. Over 280 fans will be sent to 60 facilities for people with disabilities, and another 50 fans will go to local disability-focused workshops. The city's summer safety plan will run through September, with a focus on July and August when heat conditions are expected to peak. Busan City has been selected for the Ministry of Education's Regional Talent Development Support Project, securing roughly 3.1 billion won in funding through 2029. In partnership with the local education office and 4 universities, including Busan National University and Gyeongsang University, Busan will focus on nurturing talent in the future mobility sector. The program offers high school students advanced courses at local universities and pre-admission training to help them succeed and stay in the region. In international news, a severe heat wave continues to sweep across Europe, prompting health warnings in multiple countries. Southern Spain is hardest hit, with Sevilla and nearby areas reaching mid-40s Celsius. A new June record of 46 degrees Celsius was set in El Granado, and this month may be Spain's hottest June ever. And now for today's weather, the first heat wave warning of the year has been issued for Busan. The current temperature in Busan is 29 degrees Celsius. Skies will be partly cloudy at times, and the heat is expected to persist throughout the day. The temperature will average around 25 degrees Celsius this evening. And that wraps up this hour's news. Thank you for joining us. You're listening to BFM 부산 영어방송.
Your best choice. BEFM 부산 영어방송.
Coming up next is For Your Busan with Nick Greenwood. BFM 부산 영어방송.
1, 2, 3, 4.
It's a perfect day to do nothing and just stare at the sky. This is called spacing out, or 멍 때리기 in Korean, and believe it or not, it's actually good for your brain. When you take a break and let your mind wander, it helps you relax and get creative. You might suddenly remember something important or come up with a cool idea. So don't feel lazy, because sometimes doing nothing is exactly what you need. Well, hello there everybody, my name is Nick, and welcome to For Your Busan. Let's kick things off with I'll Be There by Johnny.
Look what it's come to again. Passing through time to wanna hide and pretend anymore. Want you by my side, feel like I can't fly now. I'm with you in the sky, peering out. You're so beautiful. Shout out loud to my star, always reaching for you, babe. I won't ever leave you with a broken heart. Don't need to hesitate no more. I'll be there for all of this pain. I'll wait, let's run away. Oh, what? Who needs to come on, babe? Listen, we can be apart. Oh, what? Tell me whenever you need me, I'll be there. Every day I feel so lost when you are not with me. I miss the day and nights we spend in each other's company. I know we tried, we always tried. We keep falling down. Want you by my side, feel like I can't fly now. I'm with you in the sky, peering out. You're so beautiful. Shout out loud to my star when the skies are turning gray. I don't wanna leave, it's unfair, baby. I ain't going nowhere. I miss the love you gave, the memories made. This can't be the last time. I'm with you. I won't ever leave you with a broken heart. Don't need to hesitate no more. I'll be there for all of this pain. I'll wait, let's run away. Who needs to come on, babe? Listen, we can be apart. Oh, what? Tell me whenever you need me, I'll be there. Oh, what? What we got? So what? Oh, what? So what? Oh, what?
I'll Be There by Johnny, our opening song this Monday here for Your Busan. How you doing, everyone? It's good to be back with you on this lovely day. Almost too lovely. It's so sunny. It's quite hot, everyone. But I'm feeling good. Summer is really here. And I had a good weekend. I see some people asking, chasing them asking, how was your weekend? I had a great weekend because I went to the beach. I avoided the busy beaches. I went to a fairly quiet beach and it was really, really nice. But Chae Sung-nim says mine was very boring because I hung out at home due to the heat wave. And that's a good point. It was very hot. If you're not careful, you could suffer heat-related illnesses. So if you're unsure, staying at home is probably best. But it's fantastic to be here with you. Now, some of you might have been at home during the weekend. Some of you might have been out. But how often do you space out on these days? If you're at home or if you're outside, do you space out, zone out? 멍 때리는 것. Do you do that often? Now, interestingly, spacing out doesn't only happen when you have lots of free time. In fact, it often sneaks up on you in the middle of a busy day, when your mind suddenly goes blank. Your eyes lose focus and your head feels completely empty. You know, we have that on a busy day. We're staring at a computer screen and we just stop thinking about anything. And before we know it, we've just been frozen in time for a little while. But as mentioned earlier, spacing out isn't always a bad thing. It can actually help clear your mind, and afterwards, you might come up with surprisingly creative ideas. Now, have you ever imagined spacing out not in your busy daily life, but at a peaceful temple in the mountains? Spending quiet personal time at a temple is known as a temple stay. Now, recently in Busan, a unique version of temple stays has been introduced, with a special activity added. So from July to November, the city of Busan and the Busan Tourism Organization will run a program called Pomosa Healing Temple Trekking, a mix of temple exploration and mountain trekking. So this, quote-unquote, temple trekking combines temples and trekking, of course, allowing visitors to enjoy both spiritual experiences and hiking around Pomosa Temple, located on the slopes of Mount Kumjang. Now, participants can enjoy a temple meal and even try making temple food themselves. Now, I did try something like this many, many years ago, and I have to say, temple food is surprisingly very delicious. And then after all of this, you can join a guided night tour with a professional storyteller, carrying lanterns that were made by themselves while walking through the temple and nearby forest paths too. This program, which requires online registration in advance, is expected to offer more than just sightseeing, and it's a new kind of cultural tourism experience in Busan. Very exciting stuff if you're looking for a mix of activity and silence where you can empty your mind and zone out in a temple. This will be for you. Well, everyone, I hope you're having a great Monday and avoiding the heat so far. Got lots of love coming in. Choi Sung-nim also said, how hot is it in Busan? It's 35 degrees right now, and I'm guessing that's in Pohang, where Choi Sung-nim lives. It's looking at my temperature. Now, it's always wrong, by the way. So it says it's 30. Honestly, I was outside. It feels like 35. But 35 is quite crazy. Maybe it's best if you do stay indoors, my friend. It's hot nonetheless. The sun is shining. We have Beninam as well coming in saying, hi Nick, Ang PD and everyone. Happy last day of June and happy Monday. That is true. It is the last day of June of 2025. Hard to believe, but it's a good day. Good to see you, my friend. Jinli Nim as well saying, hi Nick, with some very unique emoticons, as always. I hope you're having a nice day, staying cool, Jinli. Kosunim as well saying, 3번, or 3등, I guess. Welcome to the show, Kosunim. Happy sunny Monday. And Lala-nim as well. 오랜만이네요. Good to see you, Lala-nim, saying, hi. Good to see you. I hope you're enjoying the weather these days. It's difficult for a lot of people to enjoy it. I know I've heard many people say on this show that they don't like the summer here. I want to convince you that the summer is all right. As long as you stay safe, you stay sun-creamed up, stay in shade, drink lots of water, summer's the best. Raration님 saying, 안녕하세요. 많이 후덥지근하네요. 건강한 하루 되세요. Good to see you, Raration님. It is a very hot and muggy day, and I hope you have a healthy day too. Thanks for joining me. And anyone else, if you are just joining in and you want to send a message, but you're not quite sure what to say, well, I'm going to give you the question of the day. 네, 오늘의 텍스트 토픽은요. 아무 생각하지 않고 멍 때리기. 여러분은 최대 몇 분까지 가능한가요? If you had to zone out, what is the longest time you think you could zone out for? Now, you know there's actually a competition about zoning out. There's like a 멍 때리기 대회, which is crazy. But some of the... No, I thought I was quite good. You know, I can do it for several minutes, maybe, 3 or 4 minutes at a time before I consciously realize to snap back into reality. But some of these people go for days. They go for hours and days of just zoning out, which is absolutely insane. I think I would go insane doing that. You got to have some hyper focus there, or maybe zero focus. I'm not sure what it requires to be a good spacer outer. Anyway, tell me, how many minutes could you zone out for at the most, do you think? Let me know. Benny Nim saying the space out competition in Seoul, I guess. There you go. Right here in our home country here, in our backyard, there is a space out competition. Let me know to pound 9050, sharp 9050, to cost you 101, a Kakao Talk message or a YouTube live comment. Now, I'm going to let you know what's coming up in today's show. We're going to have Busan Times, where we catch up on the day's top stories in Busan with news anchor Claire Kim. Next deep dive, where I share my thoughts about everything in the world. And then Jimmy will be here for Big Tour, Busan is Good, where we go over the hottest spots, events and festivals in the city. And then in the second half, we're going to have On the Mic, stories of Busan locals encountered on the streets of Busan. Busan Quizmaster, a daily interactive quiz time, of course with a prize, so there's always something to listen into and to participate for. And then we're going to close off with Busan's Tale, where Haley comes in and we have a storytelling segment exploring fascinating and lesser-known tales about Busan that even locals might not know. Well, everyone, remember you could be the prize winner, so get sending your messages. Don't go anywhere because Busan Times is coming up next.
Stay connected to Busan's rhythm with For Your Busan, airing daily from 4:05 to 6 p.m. Blending your friends' voices with the latest information and news from our vibrant city.
Hello everyone, welcome back to For Your Busan. It's 4:16 in the afternoon on a lovely Monday, and joining me to help us fight these Monday blues is Claire.
Hello, good afternoon.
How are you doing?
I think you know my answer.
Not good, not good. I know you hate the humidity. Did it spoil your weekend?
Oh, yes.
You know, I can imagine you like, do you know this, what is it, Great Expectations? The Charles Dickens story, Havisham.
I don't know what that is.
Havisham is a lady. Well, actually, she was stood up on her wedding day, and for decades after, she continued to wear her wedding dress and live in an attic and not see anyone. But she doesn't get any sunlight. So I just imagine you're just there like, humbug, get out the sun rays.
Stay indoor.
Yeah.
Stay indoor.
Did you stay indoors? Fair enough. Today's text topic, I don't know if you heard, is about 멍 때리는 거, zoning out. Now, you know, you seem like you like to keep to yourself, so I imagine you would be fairly good at zoning out.
I think so.
How long do you think? I guess if you put your mind to it,
but then
or maybe didn't put your mind to it,
then it will feel very long. Maybe 3 minutes. 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Yeah.
And then you
5 minutes would be too long, I think.
Yeah. If you had to do it on purpose, though.
On purposely,
Yeah.
like if I had to do it on purpose, like just zoning out. No, 5 minutes too long.
5 minutes is
3 minutes.
before you just think I'm bored.
Yeah.
Because usually zoning out it happens naturally, right?
Yes, not on purpose.
Exactly. You're listening to something boring or you're tired. And
Or someone says something not interested and you
exactly,
just go.
exactly. We have Benny who says, for me, I can do 30 minutes to 1 hour to clear my
pretty
thoughts. That's like extreme meditation right there. 라라님 says, 멍 때리는 것도 기술이 필요해요. 일명 멍스킬이라고. 저는 바다나 이 강이 보이는 카페 창가에 앉으면 3시간 멍 때리기가 가능합니다. I guess if you're looking at something kind of hypnotic, like the waves,
something, yes.
then it can kind of like, you know, not brainwash you, but hypnotize you. That's really cool. Anyway, we're here for Busan Times. Don't space out for this segment. You need to pay attention. What are we talking
Not
about?
now.
Yeah.
Let's start with the most urgent item, staying safe in this heat. Busan has officially kicked off its summer protection plan for vulnerable residents. And to make it happen fast, the city has just injected 100 million won from its disaster relief fund.
And this isn't just general summer planning, right? It's targeted emergency level stuff.
Exactly. The funding will go to those most at risk of heat-related illness, like the homeless, elderly people living alone, and people with disabilities. And Busan's not waiting around to fill out forms. The money has been directly designated to the Busan Community Chest of Korea, so distribution can start immediately.
Brilliant. So what kind of help are we talking about?
A couple of layers, really. First, for people living on street, the city's providing bottled ice water and heat illness illness prevention kits, stuff like towels and cooling patches. Then there are physical facilities. Around 280 electric fans are going out to 60 centers that serve people with disabilities. Another 50 fans will go to disability-focused workshops and spinal cord injury workplaces.
Oh, so that's a solid plan. Now, is there any support for elderly folks?
Yes, the city is also providing heat prevention items to senior welfare centers. It's all part of a broader strategy that will run through September. With July and August set as the key danger window, officials are calling it a 선지원 후처리 approach, meaning support first, process later.
And I like that. Bureaucracy takes a back seat, practicality comes forward.
Indeed. Mayor Park Kyung-jun emphasized the need for detailed, tailored support for each vulnerable group. He specifically mentioned people in 고시원's tiny studio apartments and those living in makeshift housing.
So it's about acting fast but also smart. And I imagine for someone with limited mobility, even accessing a fan or even cold water can be a challenge.
Yes, this is about closing those gaps before they become emergencies. And the city is also reminding the public to keep an eye on their neighbors, especially if you know someone elderly or living alone.
That's right. So public effort, community effort, and this is really what gets us through the hottest weeks of summer.
Exactly.
Raration님 saying 노약자분들 더위 조심하셔야겠어요. For sure. Yeah, I mean everyone should, but specifically like Claire said, the vulnerable groups will be more susceptible to any heat-related illnesses.
It can be dangerous.
It can be. And you know, it is hot. We're not downplaying the heat. But 상윤님 said, and I kind of agree with this, he said, today I had an online meeting with colleagues in Taiwan and Shanghai complaining about Busan's high temperature. Apparently, I got shamed because the mercury goes up to around 40 degrees where they live.
Oh, okay.
Now, it's not a competition, you know, but...
we have all our thresholds.
Exactly. Like in last year, there was a heat wave in England and all of like Australians and people in hot countries were saying, you English, it's only 30 degrees. But our infrastructure is not built for 30 degrees. We have no air conditioning. So it's relative to where you are. But Taiwan, Shanghai, Thailand, 40
Could
degrees.
be hot.
Yeah. Be careful wherever you are. All right, let's shift gears from keeping cool to powering up Busan's youth. Tell us about this RISE program the city is celebrating.
Gladly, so Busan has just been selected for the Ministry of Education's RISE, Linked Regional Talent Development Project. RISE stands for Regional Innovation System for Education. And this project is designed to help local students become future industry leaders without leaving their hometown.
That's huge. So are we talking about creating an actual ecosystem for local talent?
You got it right. Busan's partnering with the local Office of Education and 4 universities, including Busan National University, Gyeongsang, Dongi, and Silla University, to focus on one major industry, future mobility. That includes smart cars, green ships, and next-generation aircraft.
Wow, so it's not just educating, we're building future leaders in mobility and next-generation transportation right here in Busan.
Indeed, starting in high school, students will get access to in-depth career exploration programs, advanced coursework, and dual credit classes with universities. Think of it as a full pipeline from teen curiosity to industry-ready talent.
I love that. So how long is this program?
It's set to run for 5 years, starting this year and continuing through 2029, with a total investment of about 3.1 billion won. Out of that, about 925 million won will come directly from the city. They're investing in curriculum development, high school university credit systems, and even early college prep programs to help students transition smoothly into university.
Is there a plan to keep that talent in Busan?
Yes, that's the end goal. Mayor Park talked about building a 정주형 인재, a term meaning locally rooted professionals. They're adding pre-college mentorship, local internships, and even targeted scholarships to help students see a future right here.
So the dream is you go to high school in Busan, get to a Busan university, get trained in a Busan-focused program, and then land a job here in the mobility sector, right?
You nailed it. And with projects like the Gadokdo New Airport and Busan's Pushin Electric Shipbuilding, the demand for this talent already exists.
Great. So it's nice to see education being linked so directly to real-world opportunity. It's a win-win for the students and the city, I think.
Exactly. It's about helping young people build their future without having to leave home to do it.
literally rising, I guess, right?
Yes.
I wonder, do you think they come up with the acronym first or the name first?
I think acronym first.
Right, they're like, what sounds cool? Right, that sounds good. Let's make a name based
It's
around
impossible
that.
that link too smoothly.
Yeah, the stars would have to align quite well, I think. All right, let's move on to something else, something that will make a lot of wallets happy. It's 동백전. The city's popular local currency program has officially extended its cashback benefit through August.
Yes, so if you've been using your 동백전 card to pay for coffee, groceries, or lunch, good news. The city is continuing the up to 7% cashback deal through the hottest part of the summer.
So how does this work? Again, remind us, please.
Sure, every month you can spend up to 500,000 50만 won using your 동백전 card. If you shop at small businesses, you get up to 7% cashback. If you shop at mid-sized ones, it drops to 5%. And large chain stores don't qualify. This program is designed to support local merchants.
Right, so it's smart money that helps you and helps the neighborhood.
Exactly, and it's been working from January to May this year. 동백전's total usage jumped about 16.5% compared to last year. That's nearly 700 billion won circulating through the local economy.
And this is all without national funding.
Yes, the city footed the whole bill through municipal funds, but now with the central government's first supplementary budget passed, the city is using some of that to extend the cashback program 2 more months.
And then after August?
That's still in flux. They're waiting to see how the second round of the national funds gets distributed, but the city is already hinting that it'll continue to match local funds to keep supporting small business owners.
You know, I think a lot of people then will be swiping their 동백전 more consciously to get those points.
Same here, and honestly, it just feels good to know your morning latte is helping someone's family-run cafe stay open.
Yeah, it is easy to go to some of the big chains for anything. These days, I make a conscious effort to go to markets. For vegetables especially,
Yes.
you know, I try not... the big stores are good for what they are.
Yeah.
But for vegetables, it's way cheaper, fresher. And I don't know, you just feel like kind of... I don't know if it's like 정, but it just feels more community-based.
Cozy.
Right.
Yes, cozy.
Yeah,
local.
sometimes they give you a bit of like, you know, tomurom or some.
Service,
Yeah,
yes.
they're like,
Free
here, have a
stuff.
free cucumber or something. It's nice. Right, small
Yeah,
things
yes.
like you would never get that at a big store. Yeah.
And I think 동백전 makes me go to more like local cafes
yeah.
to get
Yeah,
benefit.
yeah, because there's so many that they don't stand a
chains.
chance against the big brands,
Yes,
corporations.
Franchise.
For sure. Claire, thank you so much for bringing us this great news. We also have a Ratianim saying 국가 미래를 위한 중요한 사업이네요. Talking about the second one.
Oh yes, the rise.
Exactly, the rise. So there you go. Thank you so much and stay
Cool.
humid. Stay cool, that's the one. And I'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Bye.
All right, everyone, we're going to take a quick song break and we'll be right back. This is First Sight by Can't Be Blue.
머물던 시간 속에 오래 멈춰서 했어 돌아가지도 못하는 누굴 탓할 수조차도 없는 기억 속에 나는 멈춰서 있어 나를 가리키던 얇은 손가락 마디 하나하나까지 기억해 추억은 후회로만 뒤덮여가고 있는데 진짜 나야 누가 없을까 머뭇대 나는 첫눈에 널 사랑할 수는 없었을까 전부를 약속했는데 전부조차도 부족해 내 곁에 머물러만 준다면 난 이상이 될게 시간 속에 나만 멈춰서 했어 어쩌면 우린 다시 마주하고 싶지 않은 상황들 속에서 더욱 깊게 빠져가고 있는 걸 금방이라도 무너져 내릴 듯한 표정만 하나까지 기억해 지금의 우리조차 아름다울 순 없는데 진짜 나야 누가 없을까 머뭇대 나는 첫눈에 널 사랑할
따뜻해져버린 널 곁에 두는 것조차 녹아내려버리고 나를 더 비참하게 혹은 널 더 환히 빛나게 만들 날들만 가득하기를 보기 지나간 자리에 남아있을 리가 없는 나는 첫눈에 널 사랑할 수는 없었을까 전부가 아니었는데 전부조차도 부족해 내 곁에 머물러만 준다면 난
네게 탐구생활. A villain is a character in a story who usually opposes the hero and creates conflict. They often have their own goals, which can make them complex and interesting. Famous villains like Darth Vader or the Joker are popular because they add depth and drama to the story. But life isn't a drama, so we don't really need villains in the real world. Even so, the truth is that some people are still seen as villains in everyday situations. These days, who gets called a villain? Most people use the term for someone who causes trouble or inconvenience to the public. Not long ago, a photo sparked controversy online, showing what people called a cafe villain. Now, in a place meant for drinking coffee and socializing, what could have happened? The photo showed a cafe table turned into a personal workstation, complete with a large divider, headset, keyboard, mouse, and tablet, all brought in by one person. The person who posted the photo said they stayed at the cafe for 3 hours, but the owner of that setup never returned to the seat. Turning a shared space into a private desk and then leaving it unused, does that make someone a real villain? What do you think? Is it okay to fill a public space with personal belongings and keep others from using it for hours? Or is it just someone taking their personal freedom too far? Ouch. You know, I like to do a bit of work at cafes sometimes, but I've never brought my entire office and just set it up on a table so no one else can use it. I think once you leave that space, unless of course it's to the toilet, then I think you should be forfeiting that space, giving it up for the next person. It's an odd predicament these days because there are no written rules in many cafes about working in them. It's just really social nunchi, right? Yeah, let's be considerate. But I think everyone has the right to work if you're considerate and don't, take up space from other people. Anyway, that's not today's subject. Welcome back, everyone. It's 4:33 in the afternoon on a Monday, very, very hot Monday. I hope you're doing well, staying cool and beating the heat. We've got some messages coming in, which is always nice. Julia Nim, good to see you. Messaging in today's text topic. To remind you, today's text topic was, how many minutes do you think you can zone out for? 네, 오늘의 텍스트 토픽은요. 아무 생각하지 않고 멍 때리기. 여러분은 최대 몇 분까지 가능하신가요? This is today's text topic. Now, Juliet Nim said, is it possible to zone out without thinking about anything? Unfortunately, I don't think so. Maybe I might be able to zone out for 1 or 2 minutes if I see beautiful scenery or Mother Nature. I totally agree. Yeah, I think those are the times when I zone out the most. That and when I'm bored. I'm either bored or I see a nice mountain, I'll zone out. Yeah. But then also saying, but 닉네임이 잘생기면 always possible, I would say. Juliet Nim, you sweet person, you. Thank you, as always. We also have, let's have a look here. 고수님 says, 저는 멍 때리는 걸 잘 못합니다. 3분 정도 하면 오래 한 것 같아요. 3분이 지나면 스스로 인지 능력이 정상적으로 일을 하기 시작합니다. Yeah, I think your brain has this kind of automatic function to get back to work after like a few minutes, right? If you keep 멍 때리는 거 for like, 5-10 minutes, you might, I feel like you'll lose oxygen to the brain. You need to be conscious, I think. We also have Raration님 saying 근데 덥긴 진짜 덥네요. 아침에 건강 생각한다고 2시간 정도 걸었는데 정신 가출해서 쓰러지는 줄 알았어요. 이젠 운동도 함부로 못하겠습니다. You walked for 2 hours in this heat, Raration님? Now, I know you like your crazy exercises. You like to bike for 60 hours and do loads of walking. But seriously, mate, in this heat, be careful. I think 2 hours is a bit overkill, unless you're indoors, of course. Take care of your health. Drink lots of water. You're probably very dehydrated right now. And like everyone says, please be careful. And then Rachel also said, 평소 항상 멍한 상태라서 멍 때리는 거 자신 있습니다. Fair enough. You like to zone out in real life. Okay, Julian님 also saying 운동을 많이 하게 되면 멍 상태가 가능하게 되나요? For Rachel, I think so. 최승님 said, I think for me it's challenging to zone out because I can't stay still. 엉덩이가 가벼워요. Maybe 1 minute or less. Fair enough. I think that's good. Slightly restless, but you're always productive, right? If you zone out for too long, you don't do anything, do you? Especially if you're at work, you can waste a lot of time. Yeah. Keep sending your messages to me, #9050, 샵 9050, +Studio 101, KakaoTalk message or a YouTube live comment. Now, coming up next, we are going to have Jimmy in the building. Before that, though, let's take a song break. This is Step Back by Loveless.
Sometimes I feel way too much. Sometimes I feel out of touch. I'm numb, so sick of feeling numb. Tired of all the medication, a break, a permanent vacation. Numb, so sick of feeling the view looks good, standing on the ledge. Maybe I should just take a step back. Take a step back. Take a step back. Sorry in the basement, I pull apart all my mistakes. I'm dumb, I'm just feeling dumb. Don't remember where the days went, all the moments we spent wasted drunk. I wish you could see the view looks good, standing on the ledge. Maybe I should just take a step back. Take a step back. I should never have brought it. Feelings keep catching up to me. Can we be honest? Never know what you wanted from me. The view looks good, standing on the ledge. On the ledge. Maybe I should just take a step back. Take a step back. Take a step back.
이번 역은 부산역입니다.
Howdy, one and all, and welcome back to For Your Busan. It is 4:39 in the afternoon. Joining me in this bright day. Now, I know some people are going to be like, 눈 부셔, Jimmy가 왔어. It's Jimmy. How you doing, man?
Hey, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Same for me too. It's a little hot out there, but other
Yeah.
than that, everything's good.
That's an understatement, isn't it?
Right.
It's boiling out there. But you look very refreshed because you're wearing like white on white, cream on cream, white on white. And what was it, Lakers?
Yep.
Basketball?
Yep, that's my favorite team.
Are they doing well these days?
Oh, well, it's off season, but yeah, always they're pretty good. So,
I have a question. Today's text topic is about 멍 때리기. Now, you're a pretty busy guy. You know, you're always like doing this, doing that. So I would imagine you don't do a lot of zoning out.
That's something that I'm not really good at.
Do you? When do you zone out? If you ever do?
I guess when I'm feeling like really exhausted and sleepy. It's not like zoning out. It's just I'm falling asleep.
Because every time I talk to you, you're like, hey, I'm on a business trip, man.
Right.
I'm going this place. I'm like, well, you're always busy. So sometimes apparently it's good for you to zone out.
That's something that I really want to adopt and then try in time to time. But I just, for some reason, maybe like I have like obsessive whatever disorder. You know, I have to be like always active and current.
And
right.
I know what you mean, I think.
Yeah.
So the text topic actually is how many minutes do you think you can do it for? 최대 몇 분까지 가능할 것 같아요?
Well, for meditation, 명상, I actually tried for like 15 minutes.
Oh.
But zoning out, I never tried.
You never tried that? No. Okay, and you wouldn't want to try it?
No.
For too long. If it comes naturally, I think that's good.
Yeah, maybe leaning on a sofa and slowly just falling asleep. Maybe.
That would be nice. That'd just be taking a nap.
Right,
That's really nice. Anyway, you're here for the B.I.G. Big Tour, where you take us to some of the greatest events and hotspots and everything going on in the city. I actually went to something last week. I went to I don't usually, but I managed to go. And I went to some design fair.
Oh,
do
really?
you know the design fair in Busan? It was really cool. They had loads of like future potential designs in Busan for new bus stops and technology. I had a great time.
Really?
Yeah. I should have done this big segment. I should have recorded some stuff.
You should have like interviewed some people and
But I wasn't working. It was leisure time.
Okay.
Where are you taking us today?
I was actually at Baxco. That's where the design fair actually held at too. So from 25th to 28th of June, there was a 2025 Busan coffee show.
That was in the other building.
Yes,
I wanted
you
to
should
go
have
to
gone
that.
because I know you love coffee too.
I drink it out of necessity. Actually, no, I enjoy it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. What's your favorite coffee though?
I've completely 한국화됐어요. 아이스 아메리카노. I don't drink anything else.
닉은 뭔가 좀 에스프레소에다가 이렇게 슈가 넣어서 먹을 것 같은데, no?
I'm 올주가. Even when I went to England last year, I went to a normal chain cafe in London.
Right.
I went, do you have an iced Americano? And they were like, what?
They probably gave you that look, right?
I was like, oh, just a black coffee, but iced. They're like, oh.
Why'd you want that?
They were like, okay, sure, if you want. I was like, okay, fine.
But it's not like everywhere you go, I think like Korea is the best because they usually kind of give you like something different.
It wasn't good. It's because they just make a hot coffee and they just think, I'll just put ice
pour
in
some of those ice in it and it's not really cold enough.
Don't even try and ask in Italy. They'll tell you, get out of my country.
I never ask.
Anyway, so you went to the coffee show.
Sure. So it's an annual trade show and a coffee culture festival that brings together coffee professionalists and baristas and even cafe owners like out of the whole nation and also the coffee lovers too. And you get to actually check out those latest trends in coffee equipment and brewing methods and even like specialty goods. And then you can also buy off, all of those beans for cheaper prices.
Okay, brilliant stuff. So you went there. What would you say was the highlight of the festival? Did you get a caffeine overload? Did you drink a lot?
Yeah. I couldn't drink anymore.
Okay.
I was like, I just kind of wanted to like pass by, and then they're like all grabbing me, and then why don't you try this?
I guess you got to have like
tastings.
wine. You got to take like a little sip.
Right.
So you can do many.
I know. So I would like to say that tasting events and demo and also the workshops and seminars, and also if you're like a business owners and a cafe owners and then or maybe thinking about even starting your own cafe, this kind of an event is really, really a good opportunity for you to actually find those good opportunities and networking with, international vendors and even discovering new products too.
Right. No, I'm just having a little look at your script. I see like Vietnamese Robusta.
Yeah.
Is that Vietnamese coffee is very famous for being very sweet.
Yeah.
And it's quite nice.
I couldn't actually get a chance to take a photo with them, but they actually stopped me and then they're like, oh, why don't you try our best brewed coffee from Vietnam? And then it was really good.
Was it the sweet one or was it the...
Not the sweet one. It's just kind of similar to Americano here in Korea, but then they've got like a more savory and deep deeper taste.
Oh,
It was good.
Sounds nice, like a soiree of all these different coffees. And like you said, it was great for networking as well, international vendors. And Busan is, you know, I'd say the coffee capital of Korea for sure.
For sure.
Lots of the great baristas are here. So I think it's great to have a lot of variety and inspiration for future coffee.
Yeah, they actually even had a zone only for the cafes here in Busan. And then so many people were actually like, you know, going back and forth. And then there were a lot of famous like barista champions.
Yeah.
So it was actually a good experience for a lot of visitors too.
That's really cool. So you went there, you drank a lot of coffee, and you also interviewed people, right?
Yeah, I had a lot of coffee, so I almost forgot to even interview people. But I got my missions done, job done. So first, I actually got to interview a citizen who came from Sahagu district. So let's check out the first audio clip together. 안녕하세요. 간단하게 자기소개 부탁드리겠습니다.
네, 저는 사하구에서 온 심하준이라고 합니다.
와, 이번 커피쇼 방문이 처음이실까요?
네, 처음입니다.
어떻게 알고 혹시 백소까지 이렇게 또 발걸음을 해주시게 되셨을까요?
자주 가는 빵집 스토리로 무료 배부하고 있다고 해서
쿠폰을?
네, 그래서 이렇게 기회가 돼서 찾아오게 됐어요.
막상 와보시니까 좀 어떠세요? 규모도 굉장히 큰데
되게 신기하고 다양한 경험을 이렇게 좀 한 장소에서 다 이룰 수 있으니까 너무 좋은 것 같아요.
시음은 지금까지 좀 많이 하셨을까요?
조금밖에 못했어요.
지금 또 맛있게 약간 드시고 있는 커피에 대해서 간략하게 어떤 건지 좀 소개해 주시겠어요?
옥수수로 유명한 초당 옥수수 관련된 라떼를 먹고 있었는데
어떠세요?
되게 맛있어서 놀랐어요.
어딜까요? 저도 갈게요, 이거 끝나고.
저기 앞에 있는데.
알겠습니다. 그러면 아직까지 물론 아시다시피 우리나라 분들이 커피를 굉장히 많이 좋아하시잖아요.
그렇죠.
그럼에도 불구하고 이제 아직까지 안 와보신 분들, 청취자분들한테 이러이러해서 한번 좀 발걸음 해주셨으면 좋겠다라는 추천사 한 말씀 부탁드리겠습니다.
처음에는 귀찮고 이게 뭐야 할 수도 있지만 한 공간에서 약간 다양한 지역에서 유명한 커피를 접하기가 되게 좋거든요. 되게 좀 귀찮겠지만 한 번쯤은 경험해봐도 정말 좋은 것 같다.
감사합니다. 마지막으로 본인의 최애 커피는 어떤 게 있을까요? 메뉴?
저는 아이스 아메리카노가 좋은 것 같아요.
그 이유는요?
간단하고 물이라서 좋기도 하고요. 그냥 우유가 좀 안 맞아서 그런 것 같아요.
알겠습니다.
Team
Yeah, I mean, I love iced Americano myself.
I think what's great about iced Americano, like you said, it's very simple. But it's plentiful as well. Now, espressos are great, but I think there's an objective with espresso. It's to give you a caffeine boost.
True.
Whereas with Americano, it's something to slowly sip on as you go out through your day.
Yeah.
And it's just nice. I like
That's the reason why I always carry my tumbler around.
Very sparkly.
Yeah.
Very nice, yeah. Awesome. Okay, so that was the first interview, and you said he was from the Sahagu area. Now, you interviewed a couple next, I hear.
Yes, from Dongle and Gwangan, and then they were really, really excited about this event. So let's check out what they're gonna say about it. 안녕하세요. 간단하게 자기소개 부탁드리겠습니다.
네, 안녕하세요. 동래에서 온 최병재라고 합니다.
네, 광안리에서 온 송소희입니다.
네, 이번 부산 커피쇼 박람회가 처음이실까요?
아니요, 저는 예전에 경호업체 일할 때 행사로 많이 좀 일해보고 많이 구경하고 했었어요.
저는 원래 이전 시간에 다른 거 보러 왔는데 이번에 처음으로 한번 체험해보고 싶어서 왔어요.
막상 와보시니까 어떠세요?
저희가 몰랐던 커피 종류나 티 종류도 많이 알 수 있고 맛도 이런 다양한 맛이 있는 거를 이제 알게 되니까 기분 너무 좋은 것 같아요.
지금 두 분 양손 가득 여러 가지 정말 많이 사셨는데 그래도 평상시에 조금 선호하는 커피 종류나 베이커리류가 있다면 어떤 게 있고 그 이유는 무엇일까요?
보통은 카페라떼 많이 먹는데 그냥 아메리카노보다는 조금 부드러운 맛을 선호해가지고 카페라떼로 많이 먹는 것 같고 베이커리는 요즘은 약간 건강에 관심 있어가지고 뭐 그런 통밀이라던가 호밀 같은 걸로 요즘 찾아보고 있어요.
아직까지도 안 와보신 우리 청취자분들께 이러이러해서 꼭 한번 와봐야 된다라고 추천사 한 말씀만 해주시면 좀 감사하겠습니다.
일단 자기들이 몰랐던 아만 알거나 콜드브루만 알고 단편적인 것만 아는 사람들은 이런 데 와보면 이제 다양한 맛을 즐길 수 있게 돼서 꼭 한 번씩은 와보셨으면 좋을 것 같아요.
좋은 말씀 감사합니다.
You know, I kind of agree with what she was saying about when it comes to eating breads, going for like wholemeal is healthier. And growing up, 'cause, you know, in England we grew up eating bread every day, basically every day, and my parents would always say like, oh, you need to eat more wholemeal bread. But honestly, as a kid, like white bread just tastes so much better, you know? And I do like some wholemeal bakery stuff.
Sure.
But I just prefer the unhealthy one.
Unhealthy ones.
It tastes better, in my opinion. In my opinion. Oh, here's some messages coming in. 로레시님 saying 저는 헤이즐넛 퍼선이에요. And 줄리아님 says 저는 카푸치노 퍼선. 지민은 어떤 퍼선인가요?
저도 아죠.
Okay.
Yeah. I tend to look cool, so I just tried like espresso.
Yeah.
It's too strong for me.
You know what's really cool? You've been to Italy before, right? So in Italy, cafe culture there is not sit down. You go in kind of like a bus stop.
Right.
Like a bus 정류장. You just sip it, maybe have a quick sandwich, walk away so the next person can come in. It's like stop, go, stop, go.
Isn't it kind of similar in England too?
England is more similar to Korea.
Oh.
You kind of go in and sit down and chat with your friends. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. And actually, it's quite cheap for coffee from what I remember in the UK compared to Korea, surprisingly. Yeah. So there you go. All right, then. So you got another interview from another couple.
Yep, from Nampo-dong. So let's check out the last audio clip together. 안녕하세요. 간단하게 자기소개 부탁드리겠습니다.
네, 남포동에서 온 최경호라고 합니다.
조현은이라고
네, 안녕하세요. 이번 부산 커피쇼 방문이 처음이실까요?
네, 이번에 처음에 왔어요.
어떻게 알고 오시게 되셨어요?
저는 친구가 오늘 온다고 해가지고 저도 와보게 됐고, 그리고 이전에도 커피쇼나 카페쇼 같은 거를 백스코에서 한다는 얘기를 뭐 SNS 이런 데서 들었어가지고 한번 와보고 싶다고 생각했어요.
좋네요. 그러면 이제 방금 막 입장하셨는데 제가 인터뷰를 요청드린 건데, 평상시에 주로 즐겨 드시는 커피 메뉴가 있다면 어떤 게 있을까요? 그리고 그 이유는 무엇일까요?
보통 많이 먹는 건 핸드드립 커피를 좀 많이 먹고요. 그거 외에는 뭐 흔히 많이 먹는 달달한 커피 그런 것도 많이 먹어요.
저도 커피 원두를 사가지고 집에서 핸드드립으로 내려 먹는 거 좋아해가지고.
그러면 약간 벌써 그래도 준 전문가급이시네요. 그러면 일단 이게 규모가 지금 굉장히 크고 여러 가지 많은 행사도 진행하는 걸로 아는데, 이제 막 들어오셨으니까 이번 부산 커피쇼에 대한 기대감 한마디씩 좀 말씀해 주시면서 마무리하겠습니다.
엄청 유명한 업체들이 많이 온 곳은 아니라고 알고 있지만, 그래도 부산에 있는 숨어있는 원두 맛집들 그런 것들 찾아서 괜찮은 원두 있으면 원두도 좀 구매하려고 방문했습니다.
저도 핸드드립으로 원두를 주로 마시니까 시음하고 먹어볼 수 있는 기회가 많을 것 같아가지고 그게 조금 기대가 돼요.
즐겁게 잘 관람하시고 또 여러 가지 이벤트를 통해서 원두랑 커피도 잘 또 챙겨 가셨으면 좋겠습니다. 감사합니다.
We got some messages coming in. 고수님 saying 저는 라떼는 말이야 퍼선. I like that. Me too. 주마기님 saying 카페 라떼 너무 좋아요. I guess if my wife or something is drinking it, I'll take a sip.
Yeah.
I'd never order it by myself.
Really? I like latte too.
I don't mind it. I guess I prefer unsweetened things. I like the bitter taste of coffee. The nutty aroma.
In that sense, that's why we're friends, man. I don't like something too sweet.
Too sweet, yeah, there you go. Raration님 says, 커피 많이 마시면 잠이 안 와서 날밤 새고 이 다음 날 하루 종일 멍한 상태가 됩니다. The master of 멍. Yeah. And then 만학도영은님 saying 저는 카페인이 몸에 안 맞는지 커피를 못 마셔요.
그런 분들 많으시죠.
For sure. Decaffeine could be an option.
Yeah.
Jimmy, a lot of fun today. It makes me want to have another cup of coffee. Thank you so much.
All right. I'll see you guys next week.
Have a good week, man. All right, we're going to take a song break in the first half here. Don't go anywhere. This is 가끔 by Crush.
밤은 유난히 추워 가만히 밤하늘을 또 다시 보고 있어 벌써 1년이 지나 아련하게 다가와 추억 널 집에 데려다 줬던 그 기억들이 다 너무 소중해 언젠가 널 내 옆에 두고 그땐 그랬었지 아마 추억들을 나눌 거라고 생각했었지 널 감싸 안았던 아주 가끔 보고플 뿐인데 오늘은 왜 이렇게 눈물이 나는지 오랜만에 열어본 서랍 속엔 환하게 웃고 있는 네 사진들 버리게 되면 영영 널 잊게 될까봐 두려워져 언젠가 널 내 옆에 두고 그땐 그랬었지 라며 추억들을 나눌 거라고 생각했었지 넌 나와 같을까 나만 아는 걸까
Your bridge to the world. BEFM 부산 영어방송.
부산의 축제 어디까지 즐겨보셨나요? 과거와 현재, 미래가 공존하는 항구도시 부산. 이곳 부산은 계절을 물들이는 다양한 축제로 늘 풍성합니다. 봄의 시작을 알리는 봄꽃 축제부터 부산의 여름을 만끽하는 바다축제, 전 세계 영화인들이 모이는 부산국제영화제와 새로운 시작의 해맞이 축제까지. 부산의 축제는 우리의 열정을 가득 담고 있습니다. 바쁜 일상은 잠시 뒤로하고 특별한 시간을 선물 받는 바로 이곳 부산에서 우리의 삶은 축제가 됩니다. 축제로 하나 되는 부산, 여러분은 어떤 축제를 기다리시나요? 이 캠페인은 대선공익재단과 BFM 부산영어방송이 함께합니다.
쉽지 않은 오늘이지만 가게 문을 열고 새로운 길을 찾고 더 나은 내일을 준비하는 사람들이 있습니다. 청년, 소상공인, 중소기업, 이 도시를 움직이는 지역 경제의 주체입니다. 작은 아이디어 하나가 골목을 바꾸고 햇살 아래 땀방울이 지역 경제를 다시 일으킵니다. 청년, 소상공인, 중소기업, 경제의 중심은 바로 당신입니다. 이 캠페인은 부산경제의 미래를 준비하는 종합지원 플랫폼 부산경제진흥원이 함께합니다.
During the summer monsoon season, Korea is often met with heavy rainfalls. Various accidents including landslides and building collapses due to weak grounds may occur during this time. So here are some tips that could keep you safe from long and wet monsoon season in Korea. First, regularly check and maintain water and drainage channels. Second, fix objects that could be blown away by severe wind, such as boards, TV networks, and others. Third, residents who live near areas prone to landslides, flooding, and sinkholes should be aware of the location of a nearby shelter as directed by authorities. And lastly, be aware of getting electric shocks. Always take preventive measures when using electric appliances to protect against electric shocks. Above all, staying informed of what to do is the most important. Tune in to BEFM 부산영어방송 for emergency broadcast. This campaign is brought to you by BEFM 부산영어방송.
The time is now 5 o'clock.
포열부산?
포열부산 아닙니까? 원래는 울산 사람이니까 포열부산 내리죠 이렇게.
포열부산.
포열부산.
할까요? 포열부산. 잠깐만요.
You're now listening to For Your Busan.
All right, today we're going to talk to someone and find out a little bit about their life. Hi, what's your name?
I'm Elsa.
And where are you from?
I'm from France, Paris.
And how old are you?
I'm 45.
Okay, and tell us a little bit, what brought you to Korea?
I'm here on vacation. Actually, it's my 4th time coming here. I just love it.
Okay, so you just came on vacation. What made you think of all places to come to Korea?
I think Korea for me, it's comfortable. I'm a solo traveler and I just feel very easy. It's basically, I've spent some time here and I have a special connection to Korea. I've been learning Korean, obsessed with K-dramas and K-pop. And my friends were coming over, so I just thought I may as well come with them. I just saw them in Seoul, but then the rest of the trip I just did it myself.
So the first time, were you just like looking for cheap flights or you saw a K-drama, or what inspired you the very first time to buy that plane ticket?
Okay, the first time was because I was intrigued by Korean culture, definitely, K-pop and K-drama, but also because I felt safe traveling here by myself. So that's why I booked ticket for 3 weeks. My first time was in 2023 and it was a 3-week trip.
Before you came, was there a specific K-drama that inspired you to come, or do you remember a K-drama that you had watched?
Okay, the first one I watched was a show called B.I.G. It's from 2014. It's on Netflix. And it really showed the life of a company in Korea. And it was so well made that it really drew me into watching more. And then after 1, 2, 5, 10, I got inspired to come and visit Korea, basically.
Loved it so much. You've not only been to Seoul, but you've also been to Busan. Tell us how do you compare Seoul and Busan?
Okay, to me, Busan is more chilled. You have the luxury here in Busan to have a big city, so all the perks of the big city. But in addition to that, you have the beach and the mountains, so you can do whatever you want. It's basically my dream city. I live in Paris where we lack all that nature. So I really love it here.
And what about the food and the culture here? What do you think is similar or different to French cuisine and French culture?
Obviously, French cuisine and Korean cuisine is different. But I must say I prefer French cuisine because I'm French. But I quite enjoy Korean cuisine as well. When it comes to culture, there's no doubt Koreans are more focused about beauty, more than French. Even though in France we have this tendency to be very fashionable and everything, but the culture of beauty and looking after ourselves is very much Korean. Because in French we like a natural look, we like being beautiful, effortless. Whereas in Korea, we like to be beautiful, but with a lot of effort.
So, given a little example of effortless beauty in France, what would you describe as like a beautiful outfit or a beautiful look in France?
So, no-name brands. We like similar tones in clothes. Very fresh face, natural look face. No bold makeup at all. No surgery, or at least you don't talk about it. I'm pretty sure a lot of people do injection and all, but we don't really say anything. Voila, very simple and natural look. Don't know how to define it.
And what would you say when you come to Korea? What do you notice in terms of the beauty standard here?
Makeup all the way. I don't see any Korean coming out without any makeup on, whereas we don't. That's something that's very normal in France. We don't need to. We don't. Obviously, we get dressed when we go to even the grocery shopping and everything, but we don't need to put makeup on. We probably wear less tracksuits than Koreans. From what I saw in Seoul, I feel like the look is very simple, Except if you go to Gangnam, I don't think anyone's putting a lot of effort in the way they're dressing, but the way they have the hairdo and the makeup, it's much more research than what we do in France.
Very interesting. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story and have a wonderful day.
Thank you to Tegan for bringing us today's On the Mic. And the interviewee was Elsa Smith, a French lady who is traveling in Korea. So she loves Korea, loves visiting because she feels comfortable and has a special connection with the country, loving the food here as well. Talking about the nature, the mountains and the ocean, and a lot about the difference between the standards of beauty in both France and Korea. Noting that there are considerable differences, but nonetheless, she still does love her time here, and we hope she has a great rest of her stay here. And we have this segment every single day on the mic so that we can hear the voices of the people that not just live here, but are traveling through here too. Well, the time is 5:06 in the afternoon on a scorching Monday. I use the word scorching because Hogangwon-nim messaging in on KakaoTalk says scorching hot and then hi. There you go. It is scorched. Those are perfect words to describe it. I had to walk outside for 10-15 minutes. It nearly killed me. You know, and I love the summer here, but the sun is blistering hot. So I totally agree with you, Hogangwon-nim, and welcome to the show. It's fantastic to see you. Jinli-nim saying, I want to say a lot today, but I'm busy. 저 할 말이 많은데 바빠서 못합니다. 아쉽네요. If you get a moment, type it all in one go. We'd love to hear what you want to say. We've also got messages relating to today's text topic, and the text topic is all about spacing out. 네, 오늘의 텍스트 토픽은요. 아무 생각하지 않고 멍 때리기. 여러분은 최대 몇 분까지 가능하신가요? We had some messages. We had 조현철님 saying 저는 정말 멍을 잘 때립니다. Awesome. How many? How long do you think you can do it for? Give us a minute. 10 minutes? 5 minutes? The average consensus seems to be around 3 minutes, except Benny Nim, who says he can do it for 30 minutes to an hour, which is quite impressive. Drift Monkey Nim says, I'm a professional empty brain. I can just stare into space for as long as I like. Isn't that meditation? I guess it is. I don't know the difference between zoning out and meditation. I guess zoning out is more natural. Meditation is a focused activity. I'm not sure if the two collide in any way or if they overlap in any way, but from an outside perspective, you can't tell which is which, right? We've also got 만학도 영어님 saying 오늘의 텍스트 토픽 관련해서 저는 멍 때리는 거 잘 못합니다. 길어봐야 2-3분? 멍 때리기 시작해서 조금만 지나면 수십 가지 생각들이 머릿속을 점령해요. 아무 생각 없이 오랜 시간 멍 때리기 정말 힘듭니다. That's very true. Yeah. If you try to 멍 때리기, all of this like 잡생각 kind of comes into your head and then you start focusing on specific problems. And that's not true zoning out, is it? I guess when you do space out, zone out, there's that kind of feeling, almost like some kind of, I don't understand, a hormone or drug has entered your body and you're kind of paralyzed for a moment. It's a very odd feeling, very different to just being focused on something, which is probably why it's different to meditation, actually. As Hogangwon also saying, you're my cup of tea? Lol, who are you saying that to? Maybe you probably heard something earlier. Okay. Or you're not talking to me, I assume. If you are, thank you very much. But I assume you're not. Keep sending your messages to #9050 sharp 9050 to cost you 101, a Kakao Talk message or a YouTube live comment. Coming up next, we have a segment where you can message in and potentially win some prizes with today's Quizmaster segment. Before that, though, we're going to play a song, and we'll be right back. This is Worst by Ail.
Gotta love me right 이제는 부질없는 말도 기억은 거짓을 닮아 조금씩 뒤섞여버리고 이유가 있다면 just you can tell me why 이제는 점점 힘이 드니까 말이 안 되는 이 말 어떻게든 나 믿고 싶었으니까 말없이 돌아와줘는 그냥 아무 말 안 할 테니까 But it's running out, baby best that I ever known. Baby, I'm trying to work this thing alone. I know I've been this more than twice. I knew that your love was gonna last not so long. Wait until I evaporate. Oh, don't wanna be separate. Holding you was my last behavior. Why I keep falling apart every time you do this to me. Could be nice, but you're the curse. You asked me twice. You're the first at the first and like the last time. Oh, I've been waiting for you, even if it's the last. 이제는 부질없는 말도 기억은 거짓을 닮아 조금씩 뒤섞여버리고
Welcome back, everyone, to For Your Busan. The time is 5:12 in the afternoon on a very hot Monday. So hot, in fact, that one of our listeners has said there's a warning going out. So Ration님 says, 지금 폭염주의보 발효 중이네요. 습도는 80% 정도고 6시 이후 90% 육박합니다. Everybody 물 많이 드시고 저녁엔 시원하게 방콕하세요. Love your advice, Ration님. Thank you very much for caring about our safety, and I agree with your advice. I always like to go out, enjoy the good weather, but there's a limit. So yeah, maybe stay home, stay cool, and I hope you do too as well, my friend. We have Sang-Yun-nim as well saying, for the question of the day, I usually zone out while I'm jogging. That's interesting. I guess, yeah, when I used to jog, I would go through moments of zoning out. Well, I would run, and then I guess I would zone out because I would snap back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. And then I would be like, where am I? Oh, I guess I ran like 5 minutes and I didn't even realize. I almost like I teleported. That's a good one. That's true. Also, he said, last night I jogged around for an hour, almost forgetting how hot it was. After the run back home, I recognized my socks were soaked with sweat. TMI, bro. But I guess that shows how hot it is. Yeah, an hour in this heat, even at nighttime. I don't think I'd be doing that. I'm usually all for running outside and not running at the gym because, running in the concrete jungle or in nature is way better. It's I think it's better for your joints as well. But the summertime is the one time I will concede to run in the gym. But I don't run these days. Okay, anyway, keep sending your messages to us. And there's an even bigger, better reason to send your messages to us because it is time for Quizmaster. This is where you have the opportunity to win a prize by sending us an answer or the answer to today's quiz. Now, every day is a different question or a different genre of quiz, and because it's Monday, it means it is Guess Who. We'll bring a quiz, or we have brought a quiz about one person in this world. And so you got to listen carefully to the hints and try to guess who we are talking about. Yeah, guess who? 오늘의 주인공이 누구일까요? I'm going to give you some hints, so get ready. By the way, send your messages to pound 9050, sharp 9050, to cost you 101 or a KakaoTalk message. Okay, hint number 1. He, there you go, first hint right there, it's a guy. He is the third of 8 siblings. 8 siblings, 8 brothers or sisters. Okay, that's a big family. But there's a reason. You might be thinking, these days, who has 8 siblings? What couple pops out 9 kids? Well, The reason was, this is from 1613. There you go. So it was a long time ago. He likely retired at around 1613, 3 years before his death. So 400, is it 4? Yeah, about 400 years ago is when this person was around. That's probably why the birth rate was a lot higher back then, right? People had more kids. Hint number 3. He invented or popularized over 1,700 English words like bedroom and lonely. Wow. He is like an old day insa, right? There you go. He popularized or invented 1,700 English words. Hint number 4. He never spelled his own name the same way twice in surviving signatures. So every time he signed his name, the spelling would be different. That's odd. I wonder how you can validate its authenticity. Okay. Send your messages to pound 9050, sharp 9050, to cost you 101, a Kakao Talk message or a YouTube live comment. Who is this person? We're going to take a song break and we'll be back. We're going to listen to End Up Here by 5 Seconds of Summer.
For your name, you just smiled and told them trouble. My head spins, I'm pressed against the wall, just watching your every move. You're way too cool and you're coming this way, coming this way. How did we end up talking in the first place? You said you liked my Kobe shirt, now we're walking back to your place. You're telling me how you love that song about living on your plan. I'm pretty sure that we're halfway there, but when I wake up next to you, I wonder how did we end up here? How did we end up here? Next day out, everybody thought you were so insane, 'cause you were so far out of my league. My friends say I should lock you down before you figure me out and you run away. But you don't and you won't, as you kiss me and you tell me that you're here to stay. How did we end up talking in the first place? You said you liked my Kobe shirt, now we're walking back to your place. You're telling me how you love that song about living on your plan. I'm pretty sure that we're halfway there, but when I wake up next to you, I wonder how did we end up here? Call me lucky, 'cause in the end, I'm a 6 and she's a 10. She's so fit, I'm insecure, but she keeps coming back for more. How did we end up talking in the first place? You said you liked my Kobe shirt, now we're walking back to your place. You're telling me how you love that song about living on your plan. I'm pretty sure that we're halfway there, but when I wake up next to you, I wonder how did we end up here? How did we end up here? How did we end up here?
Welcome back, everyone, to For Your Busan. It is now time. Well, it's not. We're in the middle of Quizmaster, where you are guessing today's question. It is Guess Who. You're guessing who this person is. I gave you some hints, such as they are the third of 8 siblings. They retired most likely in 1613. So this was 400 years ago. They invented or popularized over 1,700 English words like bedroom and lonely, and they never spelled their own name the same way twice in their signatures. Wow. Let's have a look at some messages. We have 3865번님 saying 흥부. 흥부 놀부. Could be. We have 파랑님 saying Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson. Quite an old Michael, maybe a different Michael Jackson for sure from 400 years ago. It could be. Thank you for your answer, 파랑님. 최승님 saying Shakespeare, to be or not to be. Yes, classic quote right there. We also have Soinim saying hot summer네요. 반가워요, Nick. Good to see you, Soinim. Welcome to the show. It's hot here. You know, I dread to think how hot it is up in Seoul. I'm going to Seoul very soon, actually. So I'm bracing myself for the intense heat that's going to be there. At least we have the kind of 바다바람 coming in here, the 해풍, which is a nice, refreshing breeze every now and then. We have 수덕션님 as well saying, hello everyone, good to see you my friend, after a while. How you doing? Happy Monday to you. All right, let's have a look. 상윤님 guessing William Shakespeare. William Shakespeare, thanks for your guess. Melinim saying, hi Nick and everyone. Hello Melinim, good to see you. Welcome to the show on this Monday and I hope you had a great weekend. 만학도영님 saying Shakespeare. Okay. 상윤님 saying to win the chicken or not to win it? That is the question. Well, my friend, you will not win the chicken because today is not the chicken prize. So chicken is not to be, unfortunately. As 허강원님 saying, everybody enjoy ice cream to cool off. Fantastic idea. 강원님's buying. Well, I'll take chocolate sprinkles, thank you very much. 수덕션님 saying Shakespeare. Okay, there you go. Keep sending your messages in. I'm going to give you some more hints. Hint number 5. This person was also a poet. 시인이었습니다. And they wrote 154 sonnets. 154 sonnets. Now, a sonnet is a type of poem. Usually a love poem, I think? Can't remember. I haven't done English class in 20 years, so I don't remember. I think a sonnet, is it like 14 lines? If anyone knows the correct definition of a sonnet, let me know. But I think it's a love poem. All right. His wife's name... Really? His wife's name was Anne Hathaway. Anne Hathaway is an actor. An actress, right? You know Anne Hathaway? Famous actress. Same name. Wow, not a time traveler. This person was married to someone called Anne Hathaway. Maybe everyone knew this. Maybe it just me. I didn't know this. All right, number 7. He wrote 37 plays that we know of. So 37 plays. That's a lot. So he coined 1,700 new words. He wrote 37 plays. He was married to Anne Hathaway. Wrote 154 sonnets, wow. And his most famous play, I don't know, this is a big hint, or I'll say it. His most famous play is Someone and Juliet. And the longest one is Hamlet. Everyone knows these, right? Even if you don't like this person, or you have no interest in this person, you can't avoid these plays or literature pieces in modern media. Keep sending your messages to pound 9050 sharp 9050 to cost you 101 or a Kakao Talk message. We'll be right back to announce the winner after a song break. This is Last Romeo by Infinite.
어떤 유혹도 너보다
지나오 그녀를 꼭 지킬게 사랑 하나의 세상과 겨루면 마지막 그 남자가 될 줄 있어 어떤 위협도 널 위해서 나설 수 있잖아 난 너만 있으면 돼 길을 밝혀줘 이제 버튼 말든 선택은 끝났어 나의 전부는 다 가겠어 지켜낼 거야 어떤 어려운 여정이든 다 해도 너밖에 안 보인다 너밖에 안 보인다 넌 마치 미로같이 복잡해 왜 자꾸만 밀어내 난 믿어 널로 믿어 나는 너밖에 없다
Welcome back, everyone, to the show. It's 5:28 in the afternoon on a Monday, and we're in the final moments of Quizmaster. I've given you plenty of hints about a very famous person who lived 400 years ago. Over 400 years ago. And we have lots of answers coming in. Before that, we have 소희님 said, 와, 넥스 서울에 오신다고요? 맛있는 거 많이 드시고 좋은 곳 구경 많이 하시길요. 감사합니다. I'm actually going to see my sister who's coming from Australia. So I'm going to go visit her in Seoul. And also, you know, our producer's going to Seoul as well. 같이 가는 건 아니고요. 따라가는 건데, but it's just a coincidence. I promise. Okay, but thank you. I am going to go see some. I'm hoping to stay near the Cheonggyecheon. You know, have a nice little walk along that stream. Maybe go to like Iksan-dong, Insa-dong, all the good tourist places. You know. Thank you for wishing me a good time. Anyway, back to the quiz. I've asked you. I've given you hints, and we've got messages, more messages. We have 강상헌님 saying 정답은 셰익스피어입니다. Thanks for your message. Let's have a look. Mellynim saying 154 sonnets. Wow, can't believe it. Yeah, it's almost suspiciously too much. I've heard lots of controversies about Shakespeare. That I'm not saying it's true, but there's always conspiracies and controversies, right? There are some stories that he didn't write them himself, that someone else wrote them, and he kind of kidnapped them. They're probably not true, but it's quite fun listening to those stories. More messages. All right, lots of people are kind of guessing a similar thing. All right, Julianim saying 정답, Tolstoy. Who's Tolstoy? Is that a person? I don't know who that is. I wish I did. Maybe I look kind of silly right now. 38651님 says Mr. Alphabet. Yeah, I guess he could have the nickname Mr. Alphabet. He did do so much for the English language. He is an English person. And, you know, in England, we have to learn about this person. We all hate it so much. Well, I did. Anyway, I really didn't pay much attention. But I wish I did now. And I wish I appreciated it more. Because it is important to the history of our language. Anyway. Okay. All right. The answer to today's quiz is... William Shakespeare. Yeah, William Shakespeare. He did a lot for the English language. And even to this day, in schools, everybody is learning about him and his works, which is pretty cool. 154 sonnets, 37 plays. Many of them still, you know, you see lots of remakes, Hollywood remakes, theatre productions are still going on today. So there you go. Okay, we're going to give a coffee coupon to... 9032번님께 드리겠습니다. Hey, 9032번님 축하드립니다. You get today's coffee coupon to drink or not to drink. Please drink it, otherwise it's a waste of money. All right, everyone, we're going to have this quiz every single day, so don't worry if you didn't win. Now, coming up next, we got Haley in the house, so don't go anywhere.
Tune in to For Your Busan, featuring local news, events, and interviews with people in the community. Airing from 4:05 to 6 p.m.
Welcome back, everybody, to For Your Busan. It is now 5:32 in the afternoon. Joining me is Haley.
Hello, hello.
How you doing?
Doing well. Now that I'm inside, it's brutal out there.
That's a good word. It is brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah. 살벌하죠.
진짜 살벌해요.
Savage.
진짜.
살벌.
Yeah. It not only I'm not just melting and sweating.
Yeah.
I think I'm just like crisping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Yeah.
Crispy.
It's crispy on the
Very
outside.
Crispy, gooey on the inside.
Yeah.
Anyway, before we do begin, I want to say, Sang-Yunim, he gave me a bit of education saying Tolstoy is the Russian writer Leo Tolstoy.
Yes.
Okay, I know the name Tolstoy. I guess reading it in Korean, I didn't.
Tolstoy and Tolstoy.
Yeah,
like
Tolstoy.
Shakespeare and
Yeah.
Shakespeare. Sometimes you say it in an accent and you're like,
Tolstoy.
who? What?
Tolstoy. Tolstoy.
Yeah.
Tollgate.
Tolstoy.
I was thinking.
무슨 말씀이세요?
I have no idea. Anyway, how you doing?
Doing well.
Apart from
I
the
actually
heat?
spent the entire weekend being an actual guide to. I had a couple of friends come in.
You said a guy.
No,
Being
being
an actual guy.
as a female
A guide.
So
Guide,
I will
yeah.
enunciate guide.
Yeah.
So I had a couple of friends from Seattle visit.
Okay.
And yeah, we went to, where did we go? We went to like Taejongdae, did a whole thing like Yeongdo thing, and did a whole like Gijang thing.
Yeah.
They've been here before, so they've done the whole like Ikide, Haeundae,
Okay.
all that. Yeah.
Did you used to live in Seattle?
I did, yes. I'm a Seattleite.
I went to Seattle last year. I loved
Oh,
it.
what time of year?
It was slightly rainy. But
Okay.
I see Seattle as very similar to England in terms of
That's
climate.
true. You're so used to it.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, it's drizzling.
drizzling,
It's
it's
fine. You
fine.
just walk without an umbrella.
But Pike Place Market was really cool.
Wonderful,
All of that stuff. I didn't go in the Space Needle, but I watched it from the distance, which is nice.
Which is better, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because you can't see it once you're inside.
Speaking of, I watched the new Final Destination.
Oh, how was it?
It got like that landmark in it.
Yeah.
That's where
yeah.
the big catastrophe happens.
You're right.
I was like, wow, I'm never going to that Space Needle now. But that's really cool, and I'm glad that your friends enjoyed it.
Yes, I feel like this segment really prepared me
Yeah.
for just being a tour guide. I'm just like, oh, did you know
Yeah.
that this part of town is actually blah 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 blah, and this part of town is like we're going to old downtown area, and and actually. That's coming up soon. I'll do a segment on
Okay.
Kamjeon soon
Okay.
with a very interesting history. So,
You
yeah.
could just pull up your old Busan Tales scripts and just start reading
I
it
think
to
I
them.
will.
Okay.
Honestly, I think at some point I just will.
Yeah. Before we dive in, I want to ask you today's text topic about 멍때리기. Do you often zone out?
I do in brief bursts because
Okay.
your brain needs a break.
Yeah.
But I can't do it for long. So
Okay.
I'll go hiking, and then there's this rock that I like to sit on, and like it overlooks
Haley's
the
rock.
town. It is my rock, and then I will be playing a song in my via my wireless headphones, and I can 멍때려 for exactly like a duration of a song.
Oh, okay. About
And
3
then
minutes. 4
after,
minutes,
about like 3-4 minutes, I don't know. And then if it's like a recent song, songs are like 2 minutes now.
The attention span.
I mean,
the TikTok generation.
Goodness gracious, with all the short form videos. So yeah, about 3 to 4 minutes, and then I'm like, I get antsy.
Yeah.
Like, get me out of here.
Yeah.
I need to move.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So a long song, like a
A long
2000s
song.
era song.
Right.
Yeah. None of
Not
them.
not like Bohemian Rhapsody. Not
Like
for
6,
7
7
minutes.
minutes.
Oh my goodness, no.
That would be kind of long. Fair enough. So, yeah, 3 minutes seems to be the average among our listeners as well. Some people saying they can go for like 30 minutes.
Oh.
But then it gets to the point where when does it become meditation and when does it become true spacing
Oh,
out?
I can't meditate. I've
Yeah.
like gone to classes
Yeah.
and
You just have like tap tingak, right? It's just like,
no, I don't even have to. Yeah. And I'm
Yeah.
just like focusing on like my posture. I'm like, when does it end?
yeah.
But truly, when does it end?
Exactly. It has to be done naturally, I think.
Yes,
Zoning
yes.
out. Anyway, for today's, what is it? I was going to say
Cool.
Haley's Tales.
Haley's Tales. Well,
We can call it Haley's Tales.
I like that.
Kind of rhymes.
Haley's Tales, yeah.
Busan's Tales. We're always going somewhere interesting, learning about some of the unknown parts of Busan. We were learning about a lot of the straits, a lot of the crossings that happened between Japan and Korea back in colonial times. So what are we talking about today? Are we continuing the next story?
We are indeed. So last week we covered this Gwanbu ferry or 부관연락선. So by the way, it could be confusing because some articles or some books will say 관부 연락선 and then others will say 부관연락선.
Hanbu feels like the the tax thing. When you buy
Yeah,
stuff from
like
another-
관세. Yeah. Because, well, Kwan there is like one of the Chinese characters for the port of Shimonoseki in Japan.
Okay.
So it just depends on whether you say Busan Shimonoseki Ferry or Shimonoseki and Busan Ferry.
Okay.
So I, being here, will say Busan, 부관연락선.
Just a matter of perspective.
Right, exactly. So the official relations between South Korea and Japan goes back 60 years. And the anniversary was last week, which is why I brought this story. The physical connection between the two countries, this ferry, it goes back 120 years with the ferry that began its journey in 1905.
Okay.
But if I could describe this ferry and maybe that relationship in one word, it would be Han.
The pain.
The pain.
grief, yeah.
Such a complicated feeling, one of the most difficult words to translate because this is an essential part of Korean identity. It's this deep-seated sorrow, it's grief that comes from historical injustices. So this ferry and what it represents and people who are on it, it is, they're all a part of this fabric that builds up this Han. Because, again, the ferry was created to exploit the resources and then the labor of the Korean peninsula.
Correct.
So the passengers who are on the ferry, who were being literally shuttled around sometimes, they carried with them various parts of this sorrow and despair. So last week, to recap a little bit, you can always go back and watch. We talked about the independence fighter, Kim Maria,
Yes.
or Maria Kim. She's the one who hid the copies of Declaration of Independence in her kimono.
And she was like a spy.
She was like a spy, yeah. And then just randomly enough, Sweden's crown prince Gustav VI Adolf, who took the ferry to go to Gyeongju and partake in this archaeological dig. But then it instilled in him this love for Korea, which inspired him to send medics to help during the Korean War.
Great.
So this week, we're going to go really personal to star-crossed lovers. Speaking of Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Romeo and Juliet,
Yes,
right? Yeah.
yes.
And on a
So-
boat, I'm thinking more like Jack and Kate.
Oh, ooh.
Yeah, but without the disaster.
Ooh,
Without the disaster.
Well, maybe a little
Well,
bit of a disaster.
Not the Titanic disaster.
Not the whole boat sinking disaster, but a personal disaster nonetheless. Yeah, spoiler alert, it ends in a tragedy, and many people might know this. So the year we're going back to is 1926. Picture this. This is just like today, middle of summer, August 4th. So it is midsummer. So kind of a midsummer early morning. All was quiet on board the Busan ferry because it was headed towards Busan from Japan's Shimonoseki port. But then all of a sudden, you are woken up rudely by these alarms. They're blaring. The entire ship turned inside out because two people were missing. They just disappeared into thin air. A man and a woman, and then they were nowhere to be found.
Okay.
All that was left in the cabin of the man was this note that said, please send this will to this address. And it said, I am very sorry. Please send my final will to my family.
Now, this is something I would definitely see on a true crime channel.
Right.
I think.
This
Like,
is
what
how
was
it
the
starts.
mystery?
Right.
Yeah. So who were this man and woman who had gone missing then?
Of course. So if any good detective would need to figure out, you would need to find out, well, who are these people? What's their relationship? So we look at the passenger log. The passenger log says two names, Kim Susan, male, 30 years old. Yoon Susan, female, 30 years old. This is actually incredibly misleading because the only parts that were true, well, I guess it's about half true. The family names, Kim and Yoon, male and female, both 30 years old. Well, their actual given names were indeed given. They were pseudonyms. They had
not
made
real.
them
Okay.
up. So who are these? Well, the man was actually Kim Woo-jin, a famous playwright and theater critic. So who is this man? I mean, we of course don't know who he is, 1926. But he was the eldest son of a Mr. Kim Sung-gyu. He was one of the richest people in the city, the port city of Mokpo.
Okay.
Kind of, Busan's like sister city,
Yeah.
a little too, well, far
Mokpo's
to the
great. I
west.
love it, yeah.
Wonderful. So he himself, Kim Woo-jin, the disappeared man, was the president of his family's corporation. Why? Because his family was so rich, they had so many estates, they needed an entire corporation to take care of it. So sort of a second generation 재벌. So he was like 재벌 2세. He was also married with two children.
Before meeting.
Well,
Oh,
to whom?
juicy.
Well, the woman who's his wife, was not the woman who disappeared with him on the ship, right?
No.
So who's this woman who was with him? Yoon Sim-deok. At the time, the most famous singer, this classically trained soprano in all of Joseon. She was, at the time, the biggest star in the country.
So these were big figures that disappeared.
Huge. I mean, if you think about it, this is a star. Like, it's kind of like a K-pop idol and 재벌2세.
Right.
Right.
I guess it is
At
close to
the
Romeo
time.
and Juliet then. But,
Definitely.
very important
But
figures.
then if Romeo had been married.
Oh, Romeo was the kind of peasants,
Yeah.
wasn't he?
Right. You're right. So who is Yoon Sim-deok? Well, she was educated in Tokyo Music School, a frequent fixture on the radio, broadcast. Her albums always sold like hotcakes, and every single one of her movement and fashion made the news. So she was like a Kardashian. I don't know.
Whole stuff,
Hadid.
basically.
Just name anyone. She was it.
So how did these two people end up meeting?
Well, they were both in the arts, right? So
Yeah.
it was first a work encounter, and then they became friends. So they were both studying in Tokyo, and when the Korean Students Association, they formed this theater group to perform across Joseon. And of course, as chance would have it, Kim Woo-jin was the director of that performance. Yoon Sim-deok, of course, she was the lead soprano.
Okay, it sounds a bit like that Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper.
Oh, A Star is Born?
Yeah.
Actually, this was exactly right. A Star is Born moment for Yoon. This was her breakout performance. So they were good friends, artistic partners. And then he became her patron because he's so wealthy. She wasn't. So he introduced her as a promising young singer to his family. And he also sponsored some of her recitals. She was single and ready to mingle, as they say. But then we say that now. Do we say that now? I don't know.
Maybe 10 years ago.
Maybe. All right. So
Sounds
she
a bit
was
creepy
she was
now, I guess.
single and she was mingling. But then this was 1920s in Joseon. Well, it was Joseon, for goodness sakes. But it was also a weirdly time of free love because it was kind of westernizing a little bit. Culture was shifting from the arranged marriages in like deep middle of Joseon to more contemporary, modern
You choose
love.
your partner.
You choose your partner. But then it was complicated times, and some people did not take too kindly to this kind of newfangled Western influenced modern love. And then through that, she's a young woman. And when has the media ever been kind to like young starlets?
Never is.
Really never. And then maybe she was Taylor Swift. You throw in these scandals, rumors circulated. She was on the gossip pages. So people launched kind of a witch hunt against Yoon Sim-deok. There was an article, it was like she was seeing this person, she sided with the other person. They accused her of being kind of a mistress to a rich man in Gyeongsang.
So she's kind of like a lot of K-pop stars will be under heat from media and netizens
Exactly.
a lot. It's back in that day, similar kind of
Right.
experience.
And she was obviously talented, but they kind of attributed her success to, well, she was with the right man and he launched her to stardom. So one periodical full out told her, it was an op-ed piece, quote, "A morally corrupt woman should spend the rest of her life abroad because no one in the country wants to see that."
And this was an article?
It was in the print.
The print.
It was in the print.
This is something these days you would just see from a random commenter.
Right, on social media.
But to have that as the headline, that's got to be
That's
horrible. And people
harsh.
are very, they're very influenced by the media, particularly back then, as their only source of
Right.
what's hot and what's not.
Exactly. What was printed was the word. It was kind of
Yeah.
carved into stone. So, of course, she was devastated. This is hard for anyone. And here, Kim Woo-jin, he was a source of comfort. He was a good friend. And, we will never know.
Yeah.
Right, we will never know.
Yeah, sure.
So Kim was also apparently going through his own dilemma. So he was an artistic soul, but then I will never know the burdens of being so rich that you're forced into your family business and manage all of your millions of estates.
Yeah.
So, and his wife didn't understand the dilemma. She's like, we live an extremely comfortable life. Why aren't you happy? So it's not my role here to make moral judgments, but then the two found solace in each other.
Right. And so was that the end of Yoon Sim-deok's career as an artist?
Interestingly, no. We love a comeback story. And
Okay.
she really came back. So because in that very conservative, kind of almost rigid classical music culture, she was just too scandalous. So she said, to heck with it. She's going to be a pop star.
There you go.
There we are. So this was actually a shocking choice because now a K-pop star, you ask like an elementary school student and they're like, yeah, I want to be a K-pop idol. But then back in the 1920s, 대중가수, pop singers, it was a job that nightlife entertainers did.
So it had a bit of stigma attached to it.
The reputable women didn't do that.
Right. Okay.
Right. So Yoon Sim-deok, again, classically trained soloist. She was a national scholar because the government had sent her to Japan to study music. When she told her family, I'm going to be a pop singer, they were like, this what? Dishonor on the entire family.
Yeah.
They were really up in arms. So again, she was subject of a lot of criticism. But then again, she's not untalented. So what she did, she wrote the lyrics to Ivanovich's instrumental music, 사에 참미, and recorded it despite, and this was against her recording company's president saying, the song's too sentimental, it's just too moody. I'm going to let you be the judge of it. So let's take a listen.
Okay. You know, when you said she was going to be a pop star, the automatic thought I had in my head was like...
Were you like Taylor
Ice
Swift
Cream
again?
Cake or whatever, like Dynamite or whatever.
Right, 1920s.
That is, of course, what we wouldn't consider pop nowadays, but that was pop back in the 20s.
That was popular music back then.
And this kind of singing was considered, I guess, promiscuous? Or?
At least it's not classical. It wasn't the fact that the song itself was promiscuous, just that if it's not classical, it's just a low grade, right,
Because to my 21st century ears, that sounds extremely classical and
right.
refined.
It's like 가곡 almost, like a folk song.
Incredible.
But I know. So this song, 사의 찬미, 사의 찬미, literally an ode to death. Yeah, so very, very telling, right? It's foreshadowing because it wasn't long after she recorded this that she and Kim Woo-jin went missing off the Busan ferry.
Did the song do well?
The song, well, they go missing. And she's this incredibly famous, kind of hated woman.
Yeah.
The song was actually released posthumously. Yeah.
Yes, it's the Van Gogh syndrome, isn't it?
It is the Van Gogh syndrome, except, she did sell incredibly well.
Yeah.
But then, as you can imagine, it sold. It became a syndrome, selling 100,000 copies, which, again, 1926, unheard of at the time.
Right.
Yeah, so they were presumed dead by suicide. And pundits say, actually, the sale of this album, it actually established the foundation for the country's music recording industry.
Okay.
Right.
So it really set the stage for things to develop from there.
Exactly, because they then got this influx of capital from 100,000 sales.
The stigmatism was lowered a bit.
A little bit,
more
because
wanted to.
you could see that, and then people love a story. And you add this element of tragedy. And they're like, well, if this classically trained soprano goes into popular music, maybe it's not so bad. Of course, that stigma would continue. But yeah.
You said, they wrote a suicide note. It would be assumed that they did take their own lives.
Right.
But I don't know. Something smells a bit fishy here. They're doing incredibly well. They're lovers. They're on a, they're just on a boat and they disappear.
And it's not like he didn't have the resources to kind of forge that, right?
And they are in love, it seems. No one's stopping them from getting married, like Romeo and Juliet.
Right.
So why end things?
Right. So, that's a great question. And people for decades had wondered about that.
Okay.
There were rumors even that a pair who bore a strange, stark resemblance to the two, they were sighted in Rome.
In Rome?
The Eternal City. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure they would stick out in Rome back in the 1920s.
True, exactly. Again, true. But then I guess it would be better than in Japan or Korea.
Right.
But yeah, it's kind of like the whole Elvis isn't dead thing. People just really do eternalize these symbolic cultural figures. And actually, Kim Woo-jin's family did ask the police to investigate, the government to investigate. But interestingly, Yoon Sim-deok's family had a different opinion. Her sister said that, and she went on public record to say it, what killed her sister Yoon was the people and their rumors. So at this point, who cares? Why do you care now if they're dead or alive? So, on the surface, this is a tragic love story, maybe even a bit of a mystery, but it was also in the arts a loss of two extremely influential figures because they were pioneers in the stage art, theater, and also music. So historians say that the scandal speaks volumes about that conservative atmosphere of the time, especially how it treated women in this juxtaposition to that free love period. So as I said, tying this back to the Busan ferry, it does carry a lot of stories of Han, and that comes in many shapes or sizes, and including these two lovers who definitely deserve a chapter in this page in history.
This series, or this 2-episode anthology, if you will, of 부관연락선, it's, without detracting any of its importance and significance in history, it's something like an anthology series focusing on different stories from that boat.
Right.
Incredible to watch.
And I think it adds to the significance because it wasn't just a gigantic ship that just shuttled between back and forth. It wasn't only about numbers and logistics. It carried individual lives and stories. And who knows, with the millions of people it carried, how many untold stories there might be.
Wow, and what a story, and it really happened as well. It does sound like make-believe, but it's not. Thank you so much for bringing us, and what's the word? Dramatizing it?
Dramatizing it.
Dramatizing it is fantastic and interesting. I really look forward to next week, Hayley.
All right.
And beat the heat, and I'll see you next time.
Absolutely. Have a great day.
All right, everyone, the time is now 5:52 in the afternoon. We've come to the end of the show. It is getting slightly dark. Well, the sun is starting to set, so hopefully we'll cool off very, very soon. But still, make sure you drink plenty of water. Stay out of the heat when you can. I'll see you tomorrow. And today's show is produced by Chong Yuna, written by Hong Young-hwa. I've been your host, Nick. Our final song is Take My Hand by One Off.
때 하지만 가만 구름 사이로 편한 하늘을 봐 We can fly, don't worry now